Hi, this is Munson with Munson Music, and we're going to talk about how you could play a song called When September Ends by Green Day. And we're going to start off with a cool little lick around a G major chord. When we play G major, first finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, second finger goes to the low E string on the 3rd fret, and the third finger goes to the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a G major chord, and it sounds really, really happy. Now you may also want to think about kind of taking the third finger and going to the B string 3rd fret, pinky on the high E string on the 3rd fret, and if you strum all those together, that's another way you could kind of play your G major. And if you wanted to, actually, there's this cool little lead lick, and one way to play that, actually we'll talk about another way too, is you can play the open G twice, and then 3rd fret on the B string, and then play that lick again. O, 3. So it's G, G, D, G, G, D is kind of that opening lick. And now through that part though, right, if you just wanted to strum through it, there's a couple different ways you may want to kind of work this. And one of my favorite strum patterns for a 4/4 like this is down, down, up, down, up. So we took the G and tried that a lot. You'd have down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. So you could work that for your intro too. Or a lot of times with a song like this too, I like to add bass notes. So you could kind of work the low E string as a bass, and then kind of do your down, up, bass, down, up, bass, down, up, down. So I'm playing the low E, and then kind of keeping that down, up, down. So you want to think about kind of doing it that way too. Now through the song, there are definitely places too where you want to kind of take the flat of your right hand, and if you lay it down on top of the saddle, you can kind of get a muted quality out of that chord too. So you may want to kind of play around with that. And actually, we'll talk more about this later, but another way to kind of work the G is a G5 power chord, where you could do the first finger on the low E string on the 3rd fret, third finger on the A string on the 5th fret, and if you strum the low E string and the A string, actually that could be another cool way to kind of work it if you just want to make it really, really sneaky and powerful, kind of using the G5 power chord. So there's a couple different ways you could kind of work your intro. And then from there, we'll be going into our verse part. And on our verse, actually, there's this really, really cool lick that you could kind of follow, kind of working itself around some chords. And we start out on the G major chord, but then we go to a D major chord. We play D major. First finger goes to the G on the 2nd fret, second finger goes to the high E on the 2nd fret, and third finger on the B string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, then that sounds a D major chord. It sounds really, really happy. Now on that D though, in the bass, actually in the lick we'll talk about in a minute, an F sharp note happens. So if you wanted to follow that with the chord, you could make it a D/F sharp, where you take the thumb and kind of go over the low E string on the 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a D/F sharp, or D major with an F sharp in the bass. Another way to kind of follow that note is to do first finger on the low E string 2nd, second finger on the G string 2nd, third finger on the B string 3rd fret, and the pinky on the high E string 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds a D/F sharp. So you may kind of use that to kind of follow that bass note too. And then from the D/F sharp, we'll go into an E minor chord. And we play E minor. First finger goes to the A on the 2nd fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret. And if you strum all those together, that sounds an E minor chord, and it sounds really, really sad. Now you may also want to think about taking the third finger and going to the B string 3rd fret, pinky on the high E string 3rd fret. And if you strum all those together, it sounds an E minor 7 that you could kind of use for that chord change too. And then from the E minor, we go to a D major chord, and then we go to a C major chord. When we play C major, first finger goes to the B on the 1st fret, second finger on the D string 2nd fret, third finger on the A string 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major chord that sounds really happy. Now you may also want to think about using something called C major 9, where you do your first finger on the D string 2nd fret, second finger on the A string 3rd fret, third finger on the B string 3rd fret, and the pinky on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that sounds a C major 9. It sounds really happy. Now another way you may want to play your C major though, and this kind of applies to the lick we're going to talk about, is as a bar chord. So you could kind of do the first finger across the entire 3rd fret, and then second finger on the D string 5th fret, third finger on the G string 5th fret, and the pinky on the B string 5th fret. And if you strum all those together, that's a C major bar chord. Now you could also kind of, what feels a little bit better for me, is to do it as a double bar and kind of use the first finger across the 3rd fret, third finger across the D, G, and B on the 5th fret. And that's another way you can kind of play your C major chord. And that may kind of help the change that's coming up. Because from there we go to a C minor chord, which is kind of sad. Now one way to play the C minor, especially if you're digging on the C major 9 voicing actually, is you could take the first finger and go to the D string on the first fret. It's a bit of a stretch, but definitely a possibility. Or you could do it as a bar chord on that 3rd fret, and then second finger on the B string 4th fret, third finger on the D string 5th fret, and the pinky on the G string 5th fret. If you strum all those together, that's another way you may want to think about your C minor. Now, if you want to kind of avoid bar chords though, you could make it a smaller C minor by doing first finger on the high E 3rd fret, second finger on the B string 4th fret, the third finger on the G string 5th fret, and kind of make it just a 3-string C minor. Or you could get a little bit adventurous and put the third finger on the D string 5th fret, pinky on the G string 5th fret, and kind of readjust that and make it a little bit thicker C minor. And then from the C minor, we're going to be going back to the G major, and then we do another G major the first time through our verse. Actually, the second time we end up kind of going from a D to the F sharp as a change. Now, through that part, you may want to just work it as kind of a down, down, up, up, down, up. And if we tried it that way, we'd have G, down, up, down, up, D, down, up, down, up, E minor, down, up, down, up, D, down, up, down, up, C, down, up, down, C minor, down, up, down, up, G, down, up, down, up, G, down, up, down, up. Or you could add bass notes to that. And on the G, you'd have the low E for the bass. On the D, you'd have the D for the bass, unless you're doing the D slash F sharp, and then you'd have the low E for the bass. On the E minor, you'd have the low E for the bass. On the D, you'd have the D bass. On the C, you'd have the A for the bass. On the C minor, you'd have the A for the bass. And then on the G, you'd have the low E for the bass. So we tried it through our verse with kind of bass down, up, down, up. We'd have G with low E bass, down, down, D slash F sharp, E minor, D with the D bass, C major with an A bass, C minor with an A bass, G with low E bass, G with low E bass. That's something else you may want to think about, especially if, we kind of talked about that muting idea, and that definitely could be a possibility too if you're kind of trying to figure out how you're going to cover it. And later on, especially with the power chords, it really does kind of sound like you'd be working just kind of the 8 downs on each chord. So you could kind of do this as a power chord idea too, and definitely later on actually it turns into this, where you'd have the G major or the G5, and then for the D slash F sharp you could use something I call D3 slash F sharp, where you kind of do the first finger on the low E 2nd fret, and then the third or the fourth finger on the A string 5th fret, and kind of do just the low E string and the A string. And I call that D3 slash F sharp because it's a D third, D and F sharp together, but the F sharp's in the bass. And then for the E minor, you could use an E5 power chord where you do one on the A string 2nd fret, kind of where just the E and the A strings. For the regular D, you could do a D5 power chord where you do first finger on the A string 5th fret, third finger on the D string 7th fret, and if you strum the A and the D string together, that sounds a D5 power chord. And then from the D, for the C's, you could use the C5 power chord. You do the first finger on the A string 3rd fret, third finger on the D string on the 5th fret, so you kind of use that for the C and the C minor, and then you'd be back to your G5. So that'd be another way to work if you kind of dug on that, is kind of that G major, D3 slash F sharp, D5, D5, C5, C5, G5, G5. Now the lick through that part though is probably the coolest thing to try and follow. And if you're kind of digging on that, you could do 5th on the D string, open G, and then 3rd fret on the B string. And that's kind of our intro lick too. Actually, that's another way you could kind of work that intro lick. It's kind of that 503 kind of idea between the G and the D and the G and the B string. And then from there, then we go to 4th fret on the D string and kind of do that same kind of idea of the D string, G string, B string. So it's kind of a 403 idea. And then from there, then we go to 2nd on the D string and kind of hold on to that 3rd fret on the B string for that same arpeggio. And then we go to the open D, kind of holding on to that 3rd fret on the B string. And then from there, then we go to the C major bar. And you may want to kind of make it almost kind of an A string, D string, G and B at the same time idea on that part. And then we kind of make it a C minor idea. From there, then we're back to our G major chord, or kind of that intro lick, or that 503. So all the way through that, we kind of follow the G string in the bass, the F sharp in the bass, and then the E in the bass. in the bass, kind of holding on that 3rd fret. And then we got kind of our C major idea, our C minor idea, and then our G major idea again. So you may want to kind of follow that lick too. Now at the very end of our verse though, right after that G, the second time through, actually our G and D kind of half. So one way to do that would be doing just the down, down up on the G, down, down up on the D. Another way would be doing it with a bass down up, where you'd have G with low E bass, D slash F sharp. Another way would kind of be using the power chords of that G5 to the D3 slash F sharp, kind of with the muting, or you could even do kind of 4 mutes on each one to kind of lead into our chorus part. And on our chorus, we start on E minor, but then we go to a B minor chord. And one way to play the B minor actually is as a bar chord, and you could do first finger across the entire 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the B string 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the D string 4th fret, and the pinky on the G string 4th fret. So this looks like the C minor, but now you're on a 2nd fret bar instead of 3rd fret bar. Now another way to play the B minor, actually, if you want to avoid the bar chords, you can make a small B minor by doing first finger on the high E on the 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the B string 3rd fret, 3rd finger on the G string on the 4th fret, and if you strum the G string to the high E string, that sounds a B minor chord, and that sounds really sad. You could also get a little bit of interest and put the 3rd finger on the D string 4th fret, pinky on the G string 4th fret, kind of make a little bit thicker B minor. Or if you're digging on the drone voicings, you could do first finger on the A string 2nd fret, 2nd finger on the G string 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the B string 3rd fret, and the pinky on the high E string on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the A string to the high E string, that's kind of another way you can work the B minor. And if you're going to do that as a power chord, then you could use a B5 power chord, where you do first finger on the A 2nd fret, 3rd finger on the D string on the 4th fret, and kind of work just the A and the D strings together. Actually, that's really what it sounds like later on for the chorus. And then from there, then we go to a C major, and then we kind of half a G major to a D slash F sharp, and then we're back to E minor, back to our B minor chord, and then we go to C major, and then we go to D major. So we could work that with the down, down, up, and have E minor down, down, up, down, up, B minor down, down, up, C, down, up, down, up, G, down, up, B, down, up, B minor down, up, B minor down, up, down, up, C, down, up, B, down, up. Or we could add basses to that, and on the B minor you'd have the A string for your bass on that chord. So we'd have E minor with low E bass, B minor with an A bass, C with an A bass, G with low E bass, D slash F sharp with low E bass, E minor with low E bass, B minor with an A bass, C with an A bass, D with a B bass. Or if you're kind of digging on the power chord, you can work it that way too and have the E minor, B5, C5, G5, D3 slash F sharp, E minor, B5, C5, D5. So you want to kind of play around with that idea too. Or you could take a lot of these ideas and kind of mix them up. So you can even kind of keep that arpeggio idea going, actually. Kind of that main idea, you know, through the chords too, on that part. G, D slash F sharp, E minor, B minor, C, D. So you want to kind of play around with it that way too. And then from there, we'll be repeating a lot of those parts until we get to our solo part, actually. And on our solo part, it kind of matches the chorus part with kind of this cool little variation at the end, where instead of doing just the D major, you may want to take the pinky and kind of add it in on the high E on the 3rd fret. And if you strum the D string to the high E string, that sounds something called a D sus, or a D suspended chord. And then from the D sus, we go to D major, and then we go to D sus, and then we do D major. So it's kind of this cool little build-up. So we could do that with just kind of the down idea, kind of E minor, B minor, C, or the power chord idea, even G, D slash F sharp, E minor, B minor, C, and then we got D sus, D, D sus, D. Or you could try that with kind of a bass down, up, down, if you're just strumming through it. You have E minor, low E bass, B minor with an A bass, C with an A bass, G slash, or G, D slash F sharp, E minor, B minor with an A bass, C with an A bass, D sus with an E bass. follow that is you start with the 3rd fret on the B string, and then slide the 8th fret on the B string. So it's kind of a 3/8 slide on the B, and then we go to the high E on the 7, and then kind of go back to the B string, high E, and then 8 on the B, and then 7 on the high E string. So it's kind of using like a little G or piece of a G chord. 3/8, 7, 8, 8, 7, 8, 7. And then from there, then we go to 7th fret on the B string and kind of do that same idea, but kind of between 7th on the B, 7th on the high E. So you got 7, 7 on the B, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7. And then from there, then we take that idea over 1 fret to 8th fret on the B string and 8th fret on the high E string. And then we go to the 8th fret on the B string and then 7th fret on the B string. Almost kind of start that over again with kind of that 8, 8, 7, 8, 8, 7, 8, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, 7, and then the 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8, 8. And then at the very end, we kind of do that 8th fret on the B string 8 times, and then 7th fret on the B string 8 times, and then 8th fret on the B string 8 times, and then back to 7th fret on the B string 8 times. So all together, you kind of got this D, G, B, G, G, B, G, B, and then F sharp, B, F sharp, B, F sharp, B, and then G, C, G, G, C, G, C, G, F sharp, and then back to the G, B, G, G, B, G, B, F sharp, B, F sharp, B, F sharp, B, and then G, C, and then that G, F sharp, G, F sharp. Then we'd be going back to kind of our intro part, so there's kind of that cool little intro return after the solo, and then from there, then we'll be going back into our verse part. Now you could kind of follow those licks from the beginning, or you could follow the chords, or what you may want to do is kind of put those together, and you kind of hear that place, especially on right when the C happens, where you may want to go into kind of the muting with the chords. Other licks around these chords too, or other strum patterns that would work, you can always kind of embellish it too. So you can want to kind of play around with the progression, kind of see how you can make it your own. And then from that verse part, then we'll be going right into our outro part. And our outro is just kind of the C major, and then we got our C minor, and then we're back to the G major, another G major, or you can even kind of take those licks working through the verse and kind of use that for your outro. And then we got a big G major at the very, very end. But that's the basics of how you can strum through When September Ends by Green Day. So good luck!